Episode 11 is a two-part video. Part 1 is the work I just finished, taking an old canvas cover from a 26-foot lineman and modifying it to fit my Chris Craft 18-footer, unbeknownst. Part 2 will be a small ACBS boat show in Alexandria Bay last summer, right at the village docks, where the International Boat Show was a couple years ago. Before I get to the cover, I just wanted to ensure Eric Barakovich that his WBE Christmas present is going to arrive eventually, despite my technical difficulties here, thanks to his mom, who I talked to the other day. Starting in January, I will be building a strip-built version of the Bobby Lynn St. Lawrence skiff. These drawings are for a traditional version. I'll be using some of these drawings to help me, but it will be strip-built. Now, these videos will be under their own playlist. Except for brief mentions, they aren't part of the WBE. Next up, for unbeknownst, is the wiring. Gary Green has been helping me figure out a plan, which is ready to go. I did see something on Facebook the other day, though, which will be added to the plan. An LED indicator light letting me know when the bilge pump is running. A good idea, I think. My earliest memory is riding in my grandfather's boat, arm over the side, hand in the spray. I've spent much of the rest of my life chasing this feeling. All of that has led to this, the wooden boat experience. Well, I didn't do a perfect job of cleaning up, but if you stand behind this camera and look outward, it looks great. If you look at the bench, well, that's for another day. But the plan right now is to get started on this cover. Now, this cover started out as a cover for my 26-foot lineman. I've never used it as a cover on there. It's kind of got some weird things where people added some pieces onto the side and stuff. But the canvas itself is in good shape. So my plan is to make it fit this 18-foot sea skiff. Now, the first thing that I want to do is get the whole cover centered on here. I just threw it on one day. But if I get it centered, there's a place in the very center of the cover that's got a grommet, and it's reinforced about this big around, and it's made for a pole that holds it up to keep the water out of it. So I want to make sure that's in the center so we can use that when I get it all done. I'm going to get this centered, then I'm going to mark with chalk where it's going to go. You can see these add-on things here. There's some like leather stuff. And my plan is to make it so that it comes about this far down from this rub rail here. Eventually this rub rail is going to have a piece of stainless steel on the outside of it. But on the stainless steel, I'll put snaps to hold the cover on. But for right now, I will put the snaps on here. Eventually they're going to get covered up. One thing I don't want to do is modify this cover and then realize that I should have done something a little bit different. So I've been thinking a little bit about it. And one thing I thought about is this is pulled pretty tight here, but I actually need to have, get my hands on it, the bow light, which is, you know, a substantial piece sticking up here. So if I get this bow light in place, how is that going to affect the cover? Do it without pulling on the bow light. And actually, if we pull this, what I've seen people do, I don't have a ton of experience with this yet, but I do have a sewing machine. I've seen people actually take clamps and put essentially purposeful wrinkles into the cover, and then clamp it in place so that when you go to sew it, you can go back and you know, properly get this right, and then you just sew through this and make this section look like that. You know, got to think it out a little bit. You also don't want to collect water. I'll have to think about how I do that, and maybe I make a piece that goes over the whole thing. Pull that one there. We want to, so you guys just fell. So we'll make it even. Why did you just fall off there? I guess the wind's coming up. Let's see if you can stay there for another second while I finish this. So once I figure out all these things, and now you can see most of that dip is gone out of there, I will go around with a piece of chalk and actually mark where I want this to end. And then, of course, we'll add a hem by cutting it a little bit longer and flipping it over. I'm not a huge believer in the drawstrings. I've never seen them work very well on a boat this big. I much more like snaps. So if I can put snaps where they don't cause a problem, and on this steel rub rail it won't be a problem, that's what I'm going to use. So I will make a hem so it doesn't unravel and so it's stronger, but I'm definitely not going to put a drawstring in there or draw rope. Okay, I've measured everything. We know it's centered now, or I know it's centered. I'm going to go through and put a few clamps on just to make sure it doesn't move. And then I'm going to start marking it up. So the rub rail's right here. And it needs about 2 inches for it to hang down below the rub rail. And that way it'll drip water off of the side of the boat. I need it to be down about 2 inches. I want to hem it in. So I probably need another 2 inches to flip over and make a hem. So just to be safe, we're going to go 4.5. And what I'll do is, I'm not going to pull this tight. It's sitting down in right now, but I want that to be up later on. So I'm just going to go the way it is. Okay, we have marked cover, cut the cover to size. All these markings will help me, because when you get in to the sewing machine, sometimes what you think you'll remember out here is not so easy to remember in there. We've got things clipped into place where there's going to have to be parts sewn together to take up space. That's normal. This one already had some sections like that. Like underneath this section right here, it's already like that. So that'll be like tripled up or quadrupled up. But I think it's gonna fit very well. It's gonna be a nice cover for when it's inside a garage or temporarily outside. It's not gonna be a cover to be used at the dock. I'll probably make another one for that. But this is the dirty cover that just gets thrown on and you don't have to worry about it, but it does protect the boat. I was mostly worried about knocking all those chalk lines off there. Then I'd be in real trouble. It looks like we're good. We'll take this in, get it on the sewing machine. I didn't realize how much the boat was leaning. I guess the trailer's leaning. And hopefully later we'll come back out and put it back on. Okay, you may think, well, no big deal. Let's just put some snaps on. But what we need to figure out is, because we're going to put a band here, a protective stainless steel band, we've got to figure out what are the distances between the holes that are in the band already, and where are the snaps going to lie when the band is on here. Because we can drill holes into the band to put the snaps in, and that won't be a problem because the screws will end up going into a piece of wood. So I'm going to draw a little thing, but I won't just attach this stainless steel band on because it's not flat on the back. I'll make a skinny piece of wood that fits underneath it. So the snaps will have something to screw to, but we don't want the snaps to end up in the same place as one of the screw holes. That will be a problem. So we've got to figure out how is that stainless steel band going on there, and where are the spots where these holes go, so that when we take it back apart, take the snaps off, the temporary snaps, put the stainless band on and put the snaps on, the snaps that are on the canvas can't be moved. So we need them in the right place. So that's what I'm going about figuring out right now. I'm going to go up there. There's a bunch of stainless steel band hanging up there. We'll figure out what the holes are centered on and where they start. You know, where is the first hole? So I'm getting on that right now. There are two lengths of screws on snaps, the long ones and the short ones. In this case, I'm a little bit worried about this possibly getting knocked off, even though that stem band will come to here. Not stem band, but gunnel band, whatever you want to call it, rub rail, will come to here. So I used a longer one there. For the rest of these going down through here, these temporary ones, I'll just use the short ones for now. Well, it looks like we're going to be making a few modifications up here. It seems that once you start stretching the canvas with the snaps and you get to the front and you realize you got a little bit of extra material, but no big deal. It'll just be a matter of a couple more places to sew some seams, gather some stuff up, but I'm pretty happy with the way it looks. So now I'll put the last few snaps on. If you guys are going to do any repair of your own canvas, anything, I highly recommend one of these snap tools from Hoover Products, San Jacinto, Georgia. I'm not sure how to say that, but it takes the two pieces. And do not skimp on these. Do not try to buy the snap components on Amazon. From what I've seen, everything on Amazon is not the level at which you want to try to use in the marine environment. Mostly because I'd be afraid they wouldn't hold up to the wind and everything. So here's the top of the snap. Here's the bottom. Now obviously we're talking about for the canvas part, not the part that would be the male part. All right, so I'm going to stretch this out. Put a little bit of a stretch to it, mark the spot, give myself a little cross there. Then this is very simple. You don't have to punch a hole or anything. You just line the stud on that part with that, squeeze it, the snap is in place. And there it goes. So here's my little kit I made up. Hello, Speckles. So tired today, huh? Here's the kit I made up for all the snaps, the different parts you can see. Here's the long base of the snap that goes into wood. And then also there's the shorter version. It's just a shorter screw. And then this is the top of the button. This is the bottom of the button. And then the stud has this piece. And then this piece right here that goes up into it. Then there's some other various types in here. You've probably seen these before. I don't have too many of those. I haven't used those a lot yet. But these things are hard to come by. So here's the ones like I got on, I got these on Amazon. And they don't have any strength to the to the snap. I mean, it seems like you can pull them right off. Here's that tool. I'll try to find a link for that and put it down in the description. But that's the stuff I use. A kit like this is really handy. You close it up, none of these parts fall out. So we took that old cover, which a lot of people would, you know, I don't know what they do with it, because a 26-foot lineman, unless you have it stored for the winter, is kind of a hard thing to cover up. It's a big boat, but it works great for this. You can see where I gathered it right here. So this is my seam right from there to there. Now I've got to finish sewing this so that we don't get water in there. That's a problem. I'm not sure how I'll deal with that. Probably roll that over like that, just like the rest of it is. And then there's another one here. Could have been a little bit tighter, but not too bad. But now let's make a temporary pole and use that spot right there to hold the center up and see what that looks like. I also didn't fix, there's a little chew hole over there. Didn't put any snaps on this transom cover yet, but eventually this will roll up and just stay up here out of the way if you don't want it. But it'll get snapped around on the sides. I don't want to drill holes through the strakes till I get the stainless on there. So that'll go on that side, and that'll tighten that right up. This one goes on this side, and that'll be pretty taut around there. How about you, Speckles? What, are you depressed this week? Hey, buddy. You're not even going to look at the camera? Speckles. How you doing? Something's up with him. I don't think he likes Christmas.